James, thank you
Oh,
so much for taking time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
no, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for everyone to get to see Pitfall because it seems like this is a new take on like the backwoods slasher genre. What made you want to dig into it?
I think I wanted to try to combine something more psychological and suspenseful with the typical kind of, backwoods slasher, maybe like drawing inspiration from like older films I grew up with, like The Hitcher with Hills of Eyes and, maybe even a little bit of, Friday the 13th. I think that's unavoidable. And so on, and maybe some of, other horror films from the 90s and such. But I think it was just trying to blend all those together and trying to throw in this sort of survival suspense aspect to it, where you have this ticking clock of this character trapped in this scenario, all the while his friends that are looking for him are, in the kind of tried and true slasher storyline. So that's kind of where it came from. Oddly enough, I was trying to do something a little bit more. I thought the germ of the idea was going to be a little bit easier to make. In practice, it was not, and it was quite the challenge. But all I think all good things are very difficult and challenging. So, yeah.
Okay, I have to know more about these challenges because I mean, it doesn't seem like this was it couldn't have been an easy movie to make being out
No.
there in the woods with so much practical effects work going on.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it was, we shot in two different forests in outside of Vancouver, in Maple Ridge. And I think just trying to do, I mean, it was good that we were on private property and everything like that. We weren't like in a national park, so we weren't going to be bothered by people, but just trying to, I mean, still it's like every day we're hiking like miles and stuff. So getting the stunt people rigged out there and everything and getting everything set up every day and getting our lighting and so on set up, it wasn't very easy. It was our setup time every day was just eating into our day, and then it'd be like, okay, we're finally set up. And now we have like maybe an hour to shoot. So go. And it's like, oh my God. So it was quite the challenge. And I think, for this type of movie, most genre movies and such, probably range anywhere from like 25 to maybe 30, 40 days, shooting schedules. Ours was only 18 days.
Oh God.
So it was very quick. And then we did two small days of like pickups. And so it was a very, very quick shoot. And so we had to be very meticulous and efficient. And even then, it's like on the day, you're just constantly going like, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that. We planned for this, can't do it. We're going to do something else. So it's just constantly rolling with the punches of everything. Or in some cases, we shot at a film ranch, and where there was like this giant wooded area, but then there was like a back lot, like a mile or so away, and there was a show that had been shooting there for like a decade or something. So they kind of had seniority over the property over us. And we kept getting kicked out of our locations. They would kind of roll in and be like, okay, now this show is gonna, shoot here now. So go somewhere else. And so we were constantly playing like musical chairs at this property and whatnot. And so we were forced into locations on the day that like we didn't prep for. So it's like we're constantly just like making it work on the day. But I called those happy accidents because I think we always found something much better than we anticipated that we prepped for. It worked. It ended up looking better or working out for the blocking or for the lighting or whatever, just in general. So I think sometimes those limitations kind of like if you embrace that and learn to love it, it kind of presents this whole new great idea that you didn't originally plan on. So.
And I have to imagine there are also some challenges with this because I mean, there's a lot, there's a good amount of character development in this movie,
Yeah.
and you've got your actors in the middle of the woods, and on any given day, I assume they're going from, having like these emotional, like heartfelt conversations to then being stalked. And that feels like that kind of echoes the pacing of the film itself.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's funny because I had it was very important to me to care about the characters, and there were some other movies and stuff like I've mentioned before where I felt like those movies took the time to get to know the characters so that by the time they were killed, they weren't just cannon fodder. I'm a horror fan. I love me a good slasher. I love good ones. I love bad ones. I love them all. Sometimes I just need to throw a movie on that a killer is just going around and killing, people indiscriminately. This is not one of those. So it's we do have like vicious kills and everything, but I wanted them to be a bit more devastating and have you actually like the characters. So you go like it dawns on you at some point, you go, oh no, they're like you're reminded, like, right, there's this killer out, there's a hunter hunting these characters. I don't want any of them to die. And I think, from the few screenings I've been to, we played at Screamfest and Panic Fest. There are people like on the edge of their seats, like crying their eyes out because we killed some of their like favorite characters, or there was like some really deeply emotional scenes that really rocked them. So I thought that was kind of cool, and they're definitely suspenseful scenes, but very dramatic and emotional scenes, and I thought the actors were phenomenal doing that. And again, it was definitely challenging and demanding emotionally and physically because one day they're all kind of screaming, crying their eyes out, or the next day they're running for their lives and getting yanked up into trees, or trying to outrun a hunter shooting arrows at them, or whatever it may be. So it was just constantly a very, very demanding project for all of them. I think we all kind of felt like we survived our own sort of our own deadly hunt and deadly camping trip. Like we were just so exhausted by the end of it, all of us, including the cast and crew. So it's just yeah, we all survived the ordeal.
One of the things I really enjoyed about Pitfall is the fact that you've got like multiple stories sort of happening non-linearly, some happening in parallel with each other and everything. And it really gives the movie like a sense of heft, and while also like keeping the viewer on their toes.
Yeah.
But that also gives your actors like such great like things with which to work. This I feel is like maybe one of the meatiest roles Alex Essoe has gotten since Starry Eyes, and I'm curious as to like how you came to work with this particular group of actors, including Randy Couture doing something much different than I think people might expect.
Yeah, I mean, so Randy is it was a friend. We had a mutual friend, and I knew his girlfriend, and for quite a while, and we just kept talking and trying to, kept flirting with the idea of working together, and it was always a timing thing or trying to find the right project, or and I don't know, and he just was always very nice to me and very friendly and very open, and would read my scripts and stuff. So he was always very cool, and so when the time came, I think it was an easy yes for him to, he reread the script and he was like, "Oh, right, I remember liking this," and I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness," because I really needed him, and he's such a sweet guy and such a delight. But I never understood why he doesn't play more villains because he just has such a naturally scary appearance and everything. But he's like just such the warmest, nicest guy you would ever meet. And between takes, he's either, chilling. Like I kept on trying to get him a chair or something. I'm like, "You want to sit down?" He's like, "No, I'm good." And he's just like lying on the ground on a log, like totally just leaning in and embracing the forest and the woods and everything. So that was Randy. And the other thing I was going to say, he was either chilling, like, just hanging out in the forest, or between takes, he'd be like massaging like cast and crews like necks and backs and stuff because I guess he's like a certified like masseuse or
What?
chiropractor or something. Yeah, like somebody had like cricked their like pulled something in their neck. One of the actresses, Jordan, who plays Gwen, she like messed up her neck or something. And so I go in the makeup trailer and he's just like, rearranging her neck and spine and totally fixing it. And yeah, I don't know. Just he's excellent at that kind of thing. And so he was amazing with that. But Alex, I I think it was just sheer luck that we got Alex because it was a suggestion by the casting director and the producers because this was a Canadian project. I was like maybe the one or two Americans that were on the project. So we were trying to get more Canadian actors and cast and crew and stuff. So they were just I didn't really know many Canadian cast or crew or anything. So I'm like I'm all ears. So they just give me options and I'll tell you who. And Alex just so happened to be a part of the one of their suggestions. And I'm like, I immediately was like, Alex, get Alex, no other choices. And because I've been a big fan of hers since Starry Eyes as well. So, and Doctor Sleep and Midnight Mass and I mean she was in Pope's Exorcist. I mean, she's just done so much. She even had a bit role in Last Stop in Yuma County. So she was amazing. And again, like I was really excited about I think the main character's dynamic with the two siblings of kind of having them be the heart of the story and having them be the heart of this piece. So I definitely tried to fight for the actors and fight for their performance and everything. Because there'd be times where we were like often rushed or other scenes took too much time out of the day. And now these like emotional scenes that we really need the time to spend we're having to rush through. And I'm like, no, 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 no. We're coming back from lunch. We're working on this. We're working with the actors more, or we're coming back and just trying to give them their time so that we can really nail these scenes. And I think we did that. And I think she was just fantastic. There were many times where, even in a wide shot, I think, we were shooting on a long lens one time and there's this emotional scene where she's supposed to be like, crying and she was just breaking my heart. And even like from far away on a wide lens, on a wide shot, I didn't know we were going to take it that far. And I just let them go. I'm like, oh, they're in it. I don't want to break whatever this is. And then she just kept going and she was just so good. And you know, I went up to her afterwards. I'm like, that was amazing. That's going in the movie. So, yeah, she was amazing. Yeah, certainly, I think some of the more emotional, probably one of the more emotional things that she's played in a while, and I hope she gets more. But I will say, completely digressing from everything else, I really hope she does more comedy because she's so wildly funny. I keep talking to her and some of the other cast members, like what roles do you typically not get to do? Because I like casting people against type and trying to give them a role that, a media role or something that lets them, sink their teeth into. And they're like, we definitely want to do more comedy. And so thankfully we did some comedy in the movie a little bit, but and I let the actors riff a bit and improvise here and there. But I'm like, we're missing something in the scene. Let's play a little bit and let's just have some fun. So they all just had such great chemistry. And again, we didn't do any like chemistry reads or anything. So I was just incredibly lucky that they all just were so amazing and so professional and just so perfect with each other. So I was very lucky.
Well, Pitfall is like such like it's fun, it's exciting, it's emotionally devastating at times, frequently actually. Um,
I hope
and
that's
I'm so
good.
glad it's getting like a theatrical release, which I think is really, really cool.
Thank you.
Um, so what other projects do you have that you can talk about? I know you wrote another movie, Chum, that's on the way. But
Yeah,
any other projects you can talk about, or Chum if you'd like?
sure, sure, sure. So Chum, I wrote back in 2022, oddly enough, far before Dangerous Animals, because it keeps getting compared to Dangerous Animals. The only difference and twist that sets it aside from Dangerous Animals, the Chum is about a group of friends and this like a couple that just got married. They're kind of like on the rocks. They're thinking about like getting annulment and everything, but they're like doing like one last trip, one last hurrah, just putting on, keeping on a happy face for their friends and family. And their charter vessel is attacked by a shark and ends up their captain's killed and the the charter sinks and they're saved by this like rogue fisherman. And little do they know, they're like, oh, thank God, you're here at the right place, right time. Little do they know, he's actually been like following and tracking this shark, and he ends up drugging all of the main characters, and they wake up the next morning, like, what the hell is going on? And he's like forcing them into shark cages and cutting them up, drawing blood, and using them as live bait to draw the shark in so he can try to kill it. So it's not just he's a serial killer who's just feeding people to sharks like dangerous animals. He's actually got this personal vendetta. Like this shark killed his wife, and he's got a personal vendetta, and he's been like just
Jaws
tracking
meets
this.
Moby Dick.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like an evil Quint, horror shark film. So I thought that was a fun concept. I was actually set to direct it, but then, you know, oddly enough, I was told I didn't have enough experience. A month later, I made Pitfall. So, so I'm grateful for it. I'm glad that Chum is made, and some great people made it, and a lot of my people that I brought on ended up working on it, and I stayed on as an EP, and they shot a month before Pitfall, and now they're getting a release into theaters a week after Pitfall. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's a good start to the summer for you.
And there's another movie that's in post right now called Help Me, and it's more of a horror slasher, a horror comedy. And let me see who can I say about that one. They haven't, well, they probably announced it by now. It stars Adrian Grenier and Virginia Gardner from Fall from 2022 and Halloween of 2018, and they were both super awesome and awesome to work with and super sweet. That one was a bit more of a challenge. It was definitely a lower budget movie, and again a very quick shoot as well on that one. So it was very challenging. We're in post right now, fixing up some stuff and doing some pickups and stuff, but very excited to get that one out. I'm hoping we're kind of crossing our fingers we can get it completed, and hopefully we can premiere it at Screamfest or something. That'd be fun.
Fantastic. Well, James Kondelik, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today. I can't wait for everybody to see Pitfall when it hits theaters on May 29th.
Yeah, please check it out.